Brief pause.
So, think about this for a second. Your single biggest expense over your entire life. And for most of us, yeah, that's taxes. What if you could flip that on its head? Turn all that stress into a real strategic advantage? Well, it's totally possible. But, and this is a big but, it all comes down to finding the right advisor. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break down how to find that perfect match.
You know, this quote from BC Forbes, it really nails it. Because, let's be real, managing money, dealing with taxes, that's not the point of life, is it? The whole point is to get that stuff so dialed in, so solid, that you can just stop worrying about it. You can focus on the important part, actually living.
And to show you just how high the stakes really are, I want to start with a true story. It's about a guy named Marshall who had this secret he was absolutely terrified to tell anyone.
So, Marshall's a plumber, right? He's about to get married, but there's this huge secret just eating him alive. Turns out, he had never filed a tax return. Ever. He was so scared of dragging this mess into his marriage that he finally broke down and went to see a tax accountant. And what happened next? Absolutely unbelievable. They went back and filed 10 years' worth of returns. And get this, not only did he not owe a single penny, but because of all these credits he had no idea about, the government actually owed him money. Just like that, a decade of fear, gone. And in its place, enough cash for a pretty amazing honeymoon.
Okay, so Marshall's story is the perfect jumping-off point. First, we're going to talk about the problem he was dealing with, which has a great name, the taxpayers double negative. Then we'll get into the solution, how you can find a real financial partner. I'm even going to give you the exact playbook for interviewing them. And we'll finish up by busting some common tax myths so you can feel way more confident about all this stuff.
All right, let's dig in. You know that feeling of dread that hits around tax time? Well, there's actually a name for it, and it just perfectly captures how frustrating it all is. Here it is, the double negative. Think about it. The only thing worse than paying taxes is paying someone else to tell you how much you have to pay. It's wild. It just feels like a total lose-lose, right? And that's exactly why so many people, just like Marshall, either put it off forever or just get super resentful about the whole process. So, that's the big question, isn't it? How do you break out of that negative cycle? How do you stop thinking of your advisor as just another bill to pay and start seeing them as a real investment, someone who's actually working for you all year round? Well, the solution starts with a simple, but really powerful shift in how you think about this. It's not about the numbers, not at first. I absolutely love this analogy. You don't just go to the doctor when you're really sick, right? You go for checkups to make sure you stay healthy. That's exactly how you should think about your tax advisor. Their job isn't just to file a form once a year. They should be there proactively looking after your financial health, telling you about new changes, and helping you make smart, tax-efficient decisions for the long haul.
Okay, so where do you find this financial doctor? Well, here's a 6-step plan to get you there. Phase 1 is all about research. Ask people you trust for referrals and get really clear on what you actually need. Phase 2, and this part is so important, is the interview process. You've got to talk to at least 3 different pros. Ask them good questions, we're going to cover those in a sec, and then just listen carefully to their answers. And the last phase is all about validation. Maybe give them a small project as a trial run. And always, always review the work with them so you actually understand the why behind the strategy.
All right, let's get to the playbook itself. Because that interview step only works if you're asking the right questions. So we're going to go through the top 10 questions that will instantly tell you if you're talking to a basic tax preparer or a real strategist.
Okay, these first 5 questions are all about checking their basic knowledge and approach. When you ask about recent tax changes, you're really asking, are you proactive or are you just reacting to things? When you ask about family stuff like carry forwards or income splitting, you're seeing if they look at the big picture, your whole financial life, not just one tax form. And asking about retirement and investments, that's how you find out if they're thinking decades down the road or just thinking about this year's deadline. Now, these next 5 questions, this is where you separate the good advisors from the truly great ones. Now you're getting into proactive strategy. You're talking about improving cash flow, timing big sales or purchases, and, this is a big one, how to audit-proof your filings. And those last couple questions about incorporating or valuing a business, that's looking way into the future. It tells you if this is someone who can grow with you as your ambitions get bigger. And here's a perfect example of why asking about those tax changes is so important. Just look at this. Between 2010 and 2020, just 10 years, the income needed to hit the top tax bracket shot up by almost 90 grand. And on top of that, a whole new, higher 33% bracket was created. The point is, this stuff is always changing.
A real expert gets paid to track all of this so that you don't have to.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. How about a quick game of true or false? We're going to bust some of the biggest tax myths you hear all the time, especially if you're self-employed.
All right, first one. Is it true that a small business owner has more options to diversify, defer, and split their income compared to a regular employee? True or false? What do you think?
The answer is true. Absolutely. See, if you own a business, you're not just getting a simple paycheck. You've got profits from the business, and you might have capital gains if you sell it one day. Having these different types of income just gives you way more flexibility to defer taxes or split that income up with family members, which can seriously lower your household's total tax bill.
Okay, next one. And this one trips up a lot of people. So if you're working for yourself as a sole proprietor, can you write off your own labor as a salary expense?
And the answer is true. You can't. It all comes down to your business structure. When you're a sole proprietor, in the eyes of the law, you are the business. There's no separation, so you just get taxed on whatever profit is left over. But if you incorporate, now your business is its own separate legal thing, and that business can pay you a salary, which it can then deduct as an expense. See, this is a perfect example of the kind of strategic conversation a great advisor should be having with you.
Okay, how about a family situation? From a tax point of view, which is better? One person earning 60 grand or two people each earning 30 grand?
This one is definitely false. It's all because of our progressive tax system. The more you make, the higher the tax rate you pay on those top dollars. So that one person earning $60,000 is going to get pushed into a higher tax bracket and pay way more tax than the two people earning $30,000 each. By spreading the income out, you keep everybody in a lower tax bracket. It's just more efficient.
Okay, last one, and this one is all about the fear of an audit. True or false? If you appeal an audit and go to court, you're probably going to lose. Now, technically, if you look at the stats, yeah, the tax agency does win most of the time in court, but that's a really misleading way to look at it. The real answer here is that it's the wrong question to be asking in the first place. A great advisor's job is to make sure your case never even gets to court. They're your first line of defense. They're the ones who negotiate and file objections to get things sorted out way before a judge ever gets involved.
And that really brings us full circle to the most important question you can ask. Is your tax advisor a true team player? Because listen, no one person has all the answers. The best kind of advisor is more like a team captain. They're connected with lawyers, insurance pros, and investment experts, and they bring everyone together to work on your financial plan. It stops being about just filling out forms correctly and starts being about real, forward-looking strategy. So I'll leave you with this. Take a good, hard look at your own financial situation and ask yourself, who's on my team?